This was my first time to China. Has anyone who here has been to China before? I can say that now. And it was also my first time going on a missions trip that was worship focused. So, you know, those two elements just put me in a really uncomfortable situation, but I loved it. And when I shared with my coworkers that I was going to China, I got kind of a lot of like, you know, warnings also. They were like, oh, I've seen that in the news. They're like dumping pigs in the river and all of this stuff. So I didn't even know what to expect. But God says, like, don't judge, you know, before you go. And I kind of fell into that trap a bit. You know, I walked in and I expected all of these people to be not so friendly and it to be really dirty. But honestly, I was blown away by the hospitality that, you know, we experienced there. All the people that we met in Wuhan and Yichang were just so friendly, not only just the people in church, but also people that I interacted with in the streets and everything, including the cats there too. Alvin kept on telling me to stay away, but anyway. So basically we spent about 8 days in Wuhan and 4 or 5 days in Yichang. I could only make it to the first 6 or 7 days in Wuhan because of work-related vacation time and whatnot. So by the time I got there, it was Saturday afternoon. I was jet-lagged. Everyone there was practicing, so I kind of walked in, and then you know, they kind of said hi and got back to it. And you know, I found immediately that my part was kind of, you know, just to support and then teach people how to do bafu, like the 8-2 dance, while everyone else was practicing on stage. So I was kind of like the jokester of the group almost, like kind of hopefully bringing some light to everything. And so it was pretty intense, and I was kind of observing them all, and during the Chinese sharing, people were saying that they spent 5 or 6 hours practicing a day, and then it was an hour break, and then immediately following that it was like 2 hours of just the nighttime worship. So that was Friday and Saturday, and then Sunday we had 4 services. So I was responsible for helping them lead English worship service on Sunday in Wuhan, and then also leading the fun dancing stuff. So I walked in not being that experienced in worship. I, you know, kind of had a few chances to participate and lead worship in the English service, as you know, before I went. But it didn't really prepare me for what I was encountered with when I got there. So the whole team was pretty much pooped by the time I got to them. It was like 11 p.m. on Saturday. Like, people were like passed out on the ground, or like they couldn't stand up and sing, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know most of them too. So I'm not naturally a really assertive person. So I was having a hard time like being like, hey, can we worship, and like maybe we can do it this way. But so I just felt like it was a disaster. But I feel like in that situation, the next day, you know, I just kind of prayed, and I just asked God to like help calm my nerves, and the English worship service went by in a blur, and you know, afterwards a lady came up to me, and she was there from England like for a few years, and she was like, thank you, like that was like wonderful, thanks for doing that. And it was really refreshing to hear worship in English. So that's kind of a testament to, like, you know, just working as hard as you can and leaving the rest up to God. And that was kind of like a recurring theme. And I feel like going out to a missions, you know, no matter how short-term it is, it's like your opportunity to really rely on God really heavily in like unexpected circumstances. Because another time that we saw this was when we were in Yichang. We got there like Friday morning, like late morning, and then being Chinese, the pastor and his wife like took us out to this really ridiculously large lunch, and we spent hours there like eating and socializing, and then I could tell everyone was kind of nervous because we were like, we haven't practiced yet, like we're like freaking out. but we were like being polite, and you know that's the Chinese way of expressing like thanks and right. And the food, of course, was delicious. I was joking with Pastor Michael. I'm like, oh, I could just write my whole testimony on the food. But anyways, so we didn't get that much time to practice. When we got there, we were still tired. It was maybe like 2 hours of practice, and then I think I kind of felt like the group kind of gave up a bit, and we were like, okay, it's all right, it's a night, but we still prayed over it. And like what ended up happening that night was amazing. Like 70, 80 people at the end came up and accepted Christ. And we were just blown away because we thought we were doing really badly, and we didn't feel like we had prepared well enough. But in that situation, God just really worked through whatever we had to offer to him. And like people just came up in like droves, and Alvin even like made me come up to see from his angle what it was like, and I started like crying and stuff. But yeah, that's also just a good reminder for all of us that it could be that easy to accept Christ into your lives. And it gave me encouragement to keep pursuing and keep praying over like my loved ones here. Sometimes you think like, oh, I need to have the right arguments and right things to say, but really the Holy Spirit works, in its own way. So that was really awesome to witness. And then finally, on a personal level, it was a really good growth opportunity for me to be like in a supportive role. So once again, I said I'm not really that good at Chinese or at participating in worship, but it was just really nice to be in this group of 20 or so people. We got really close, and I found my own place in the group, how to be encouraging and entertaining. And I got to help be Alvin's personal assistant in his guitar class. So that kind of gave an awesome angle for me to interact with the students when he was taking a break. And it was just like a good dynamic for me. And just overall, it was a really humbling experience. And I learned how to rely on God more and really appreciate being in that supportive role. So I really want to thank everyone who supported financially and with their prayers. Thanks.